How Arne Slot will set up Liverpool. Today we're going to be looking at formations, tactics, starting 11 and also some transfers. I'm Statman Dave. If you are new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video. But anyway, let's get this party started. Arne Slot's go-to formation is the 4-2-3-1, although in possession it operates more like a 4-3-3 or a 4-1-4-1, with a midfield made up of a number 6, a number 8 and a number 10. The backline contains two ball-playing centre-backs, two cautious inverted wing-backs, meanwhile the wide attackers are inverted wingers. The left is more of a goal scorer, whereas the right is more creative. Finally, Slot uses a focal point type striker like a target man who can bring others into play. Let's start in goal. Alisson would easily fit into Arne Slot's Liverpool. Not only incredible with his feet, a brilliant shot stopper and probably one of the best 1v1 goalkeepers in the entire world of football. The big thing though for Arne Slot is in possession, he needs a ball playing goalkeeper. As we mentioned, the shape kind of moves to more of a 4-1-4-1 structure with the two fullbacks playing slightly more narrow, the width created by the two centre backs allowing them to play through any pressing structure. So one of the big things a goalkeeper needs to do within this shape and system, of course, is distribute the ball to the left, to the right, allow him to get the ball back and play little passes to work the ball into midfield and progress the play. This is something that Alisson could easily do. Not only that, but Alisson does have that ability to go long. You know, he's got a good kick in him and can hit a striker pretty easily, which again is a big part of the tactics. If a team is pressing Slot's Feyenoord, they are very happy to go long to their striker and then win the second ball, something that you'd expect, of course, them to do at Liverpool. Moving on to centre-back, Slot wants ball-playing defenders, players that are capable of playing those passes to break the lines or alternatively to move the ball on and keep it going through. Diagonal passes from that centre-back position, either to the number 9 or to the opposite side. Midfielder is very important for Feyenoord, but also for Liverpool, for Arne Slot's sides to progress the play. Konate and Virgil van Dijk are both powerful, big, strong, dominant ball-playing centre-backs. But of course, the first transfer that we're going to talk about today is at centre-back. Liverpool need a new player in that area to compete with Konate for that second role, but also to replace Joel Matip, who's been so good for Liverpool. And one player that I would look to bring in is Ousmane Diomande, a player that's not only dominant on the ball, but also a very, very physical player that can adapt to life in the Premier League. He currently applies his trade at Sporting Lisbon. What he's known for is not only his ability to cover the defensive areas of the flanks, playing as a right centre-back and a back three, but also he's super dominant on the ball, allowing him to progress the play for Sporting Lisbon on the right side of their defence, and expect that to be the same for Liverpool. I think his link up with Trent Alexander-Arnold in that kind of inverted deeper position could be really good as well. You know, he mentioned how Slot creates that kind of back five structure plus the goalkeeper to build up. Diomande having that link with Trent Alexander-Arnold, but also being able to cover him in behind when possession is lost is really, really important. Moving on to fullback, Arne Slot needs ball players in these positions, hence why Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold could perfectly do the role. Not only important in build-up, creating a relationship with the centre-back behind them, but also in the final third, really important. With Arne Slot's Feyenoord, you see a lot of rotations between the fullback, the midfielder and the wide player ahead of them. And this is something that Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson have done for Liverpool for time and time again. Since Jürgen Klopp took over the club, both fullbacks are leading players in their position for assists, and I think that role within the side to be a left and right half in build-up, allowing Liverpool to break the lines and then in the final third to rotate could be really important. Slot's used a variety of roles for fullbacks at Feyenoord. Malacia was an inverted wing-back, you're looking at Pedersen was more of a natural wing-back, and of course Gertruda, who's a centre-back by trade, has done a really good job at right-back, playing more of an inverted full-back role deeper to allow Feyenoord to draw the opposition out and play forward. Both Trent and Andy Robertson could play all these roles, allowing great tactical flexibility for Arne Slot at Liverpool. Moving into midfield, Endo and McAllister could do a job for Arne Slot in midfield. But as mentioned, the amount of space that these two players have to cover in a defensive sense is massive. As Feyenoord do and Liverpool will do under Arne Slot, they want to force the opponents to play wide. What that means is the midfielder's got a lot of space to cover on that flank. You know, from a pressing situation, you're going to have to expect the midfielder to jump out into that zone with the fullback to put pressure on the football. This kind of leads a massive amount of space for the the other midfielder to really cover, allowing the opposition to get in between Feyenoord and Liverpool's lines. So them having a good ability to move from flank to flank is vitally important. Think about what Fabinho, Jordan Henderson and Wijnaldum would do for Liverpool under Jürgen Klopp in the first few years. They cover vast amounts of distance in terms of pressing and being aggressive. This would be exactly the same requirement that would be on Liverpool's two defensive midfielders in Slot's 4-2-3-1 defensive structure. When we're looking at the statistics, one worry that I would have would be for Endo. Endo's won just 34% of his tackles versus dribblers in the Premier League this season. That number is worse than Casemiro at Manchester United, and it'd rank him in the bottom 21% of midfielders in the Premier League. So Endo being upgraded is a massive thing that Liverpool need to do in the market if they want to challenge for the Premier League title under Arne Slot. I think the interesting side with McAllister and his ability to cover ground, it's really good. You know, he's one of the top sort of 30 players in European football in terms of tackles won plus interceptions this season. His ability to cover ground is really good, but I'd quite like to see him play in the attacking midfield role. I like what he's been doing recently in the final third. His creativity, his weight of pass is absolutely outstanding. Seeing him closer to goal, getting on the score sheet could be something that Slot does, but also you'd have his tenacity and pressing high up the pitch from that number 10 area. But at the moment we'll drop him into midfield and we'll retain Cody Gakpo at attacking midfield, but that ability to press and be aggressive is vitally important for the two defensive midfielders, and I do believe Liverpool do need to enter the market and sign a new defensive midfielder that's capable of covering the ground. A simple answer to this and the Premier League ready option would be signing Paulinho from Fulham. He's a player that we know can cover ground. At the moment he's won more tackles plus interceptions than any other player in Europe's top 5 leagues, an incredible feat for a midfielder that has been injured for part of the season. His real ability is exactly what we're asking the midfielder to do here. It's cover that space, it's cover the ground, it's to win the ball back, it's to be aggressive in pressing situations. It's similar to what Fabinho used to do for Liverpool, and that position is going to be vitally important for Slot's press to work in the Premier League. In terms of turnovers, since Arne Slot took over as Feyenoord manager, they've won the most possessions in the final third than any other side in Europe's top 7 leagues, and Paulinho being a signing makes a lot of sense. Of course, if Liverpool wanted to enter the market and sign maybe someone from, a different league to get a better price, we're looking at the likes of Hulmund at Sporting Lisbon. He's a player there that, again, for Amarin's side, really covers the defensive structure, wins the ball back, turns it over. Alternatively, bringing in Matt Weifer from Feyenoord with Arne Slot could be a great option. The Dutch midfielder is great at covering distance, also knows how to play the 6 role in possession for Arne Slot. Could be a great signing for Liverpool. In terms of other midfielders that I kind of want to talk about as well, as I think Ryan Gravenberch could potentially be a real top player. I think with him being a number 8 maybe, and McAllister playing that number 6 role and moving to that attacking midfield role like we saw him do frequently at Ajax, could be the best role for a player that's not quite hit the heights compared to his days at Ajax. Moving into the forward areas, first up in attacking midfield. As we mentioned before, McAllister could do a job there. He's a traditional playmaker. He's got the ability to find the pass, but also great ball striking technique, making him a goal threat. But I kind of expect Arne Slot to use a similar player to what he has at Feyenoord. At Feyenoord, he's got Kelvin Steens, who's a winger that doesn't quite have the pace to play out wide all the time, but also maybe not the right goal-scoring technique to play as a kind of forward, a number 9. Very similar to Cody Gakpo. Gakpo's got an interesting skill set. He's a player that's good in space, a player that can see a pass, a player that can put the ball in the back of the net, but probably didn't have a position for Jürgen Klopp's Liverpool. But now playing as this hybrid number 10, who's going to be making a lot of underlapping runs in the final third, allowing the wide player to move inside, could be absolutely perfect for balance for Arne Slot's Liverpool. Gakpo has the potential to be a really good Premier League player, but I feel like he needs confidence. When he was playing his best football in the Eredivisie, he was confident, he was taking everything on, he was trying things from range. He was a real threat, and we haven't really seen that under Jürgen Klopp. But expect Arne Slot to use a fellow Dutchman in that number 10 area to try and break teams down, to allow them to have that fluidity and interchange in the final third. Other options for that attacking midfield position could be Curtis Jones or Harvey Elliott. I think that position's quite interesting because one of those 3 players could take that role, or even Dominik Szoboszlai, a player that's hit a bit of a poor patch of form in recent weeks, but has the potential to play number 10, to play on the left wing or the right wing. I just don't personally see him as a midfielder in a 3-man or a 2-man right-hand double pivot. I think like he's a player that needs to be in the final third, that needs to use that ball striking technique to the best of its ability, and that's near the box. So playing him in that maybe attacking midfield role could be good for Arne Slot's Liverpool, but we're going to stick with Cody Gakpo because I've just got a feeling that he might be the guy that Slot goes with. Onto the left wing, I think this is the biggest shoe-in Arne Slot's Liverpool, and that's Luis Diaz playing on the left wing. Diaz is the perfect Slot winger. Pacey, direct, dribbling, works insanely hard off the ball. And if we look at the sort of teams that Slot's managed, he's always had kind of a secondary goal scorer on the left wing, be it Idrissi at AZ Alkmaar, or looking at Sinisterra at Feyenoord, or alternatively Pai Chao this season. That left wing has been really important in terms of scoring goals, not only receiving the ball wide and cutting in, but as we mentioned before, if there's interchange in positions with an attacking midfielder moving wide, they become that central player and look to get into the box and score goals. Luis Diaz is perfect for that. Of course, before we talk about Mohamed Salah and what Arne Slot should do with the Egyptian winger, we're going to talk about that number 9 area. Darwin Núñez is really flattered to deceive at Liverpool, and he's consistently been underperforming his XG, missing too many chances. On top of that, his aerial duel win rate is just not quite good enough for a team that potentially will go long at certain points. I mentioned before that Arne Slot at times likes to bypass the opposition's midfield and will hit the striker and win the second ball. Is Darwin Núñez that guy? Is he that option? It would take a lot of coaching and time to develop the Uruguayan striker to play that role for Liverpool. Do I think he can do it? Yes. But I think when you're looking at that position, it's really key in Arne Slot's side. They need someone to play to. They need a technical forward or alternatively a target man. And you could argue that in this setup and system that potentially Diogo Jota might be a better option playing as that 9. He's a player that's very clinical in the final third. He's not too bad in the air. He's probably going to be more of a player that you're going to play to his feet versus to his head. But it's just, I think it's a better fit for Liverpool right now. Darwin Núñez is a player that is super frustrating in the final third. One day, yes, it might all click and he might be one of the best players in the world. But at the moment, underperforming his XG, potentially not the right target for Liverpool. So Diogo Jota could be a good option. I'd also quite like to see potentially Diogo Jota playing that attacking midfield role as well, that we mentioned with Cody Gakpo. Playing as a bit of a second striker within the system could work quite well. But for argument's sake right now, we're going to stick with Darwin Núñez up front, which moves us on to what to do with Mohamed Salah. Since joining Liverpool, he scored more goals than any other player in the Premier League. He is their guy. He's a player that not only explodes from the wide areas that we've seen recently in terms of his assist numbers, shooting up, his creativity from those zones, but also playing as an inside forward. He is a Liverpool legend. But I think right now, in terms of the rebuild of this side and what you could do with the Mohamed Salah money, I'd be looking to sell the Egyptian winger. And there's a number of reasons why. I think first and foremost, Liverpool have got a player within the squad that could take that mantle up on the left-hand side. Harvey Elliott has got humongous potential. This is probably the perfect time for Liverpool to move Salah on and bring Harvey Elliott into the team. A player that's got ability to create, seize a pass, has got a lot of big assists in recent weeks, but also he needs to play football to get to his potential. And I think starting Elliott wide is where I would see him in the future. I think he's a decent central player. I think he's a player that can do a good role in central midfield as a free 8. But considering the requirements we mentioned before, how the defensive midfielders need to go out and defend wide, it kind of feels a bit like he's either going to play number 10 or on the wing. I think the other thing that we didn't really speak about previously as well is, should Trent Alexander-Arnold be moved into midfield under Arne Slot? For me, absolutely not. Trent would be perfect in this system as a fullback, as we mentioned before. And I think as well, with the requirements of the defensive midfielders having to be massive workhorses off the ball, I don't think that's Trent's game. He could do a job in certain matches playing in defensive midfield, allowing someone else to drop into right back, maybe a Connor Bradley, but I do think in this system he's got to be a right back. He's so good in that position, and he would be so good within this shape and system and rotation and so forth. But we've sold Mohamed Salah. Harvey Elliott's become a creator in the final third. Who is our number 9? Because Darwin Núñez, for me, just wouldn't cut the mustard if Salah was sold. You're losing too many goals there. And a player that's breaking goal-scoring records this season, the most goals and assists in Europe's top 7 leagues, is Victor Gyökeres. He is arguably the perfect striker for Arne Slot's Liverpool. Great under the long ball, can create something out of nothing into the channels. He's a player that can finish from all the angles. He's creative. He operates like a winger in the final third at certain times in the right moments. He is the perfect guy for Liverpool. The reports are that he's going to cost a lot of money. So if Liverpool can sell Salah to a different league and get maybe 100, 180 million pounds and then use that money to sign Victor Gokres, this Liverpool team looks a lot better for what Arne Slot would want to achieve. A tall target man, similar to Santiago Jimenez, who's of course the number 9 that Arne Slot uses at Feyenoord. It just seems to make a lot more sense. You could also put the rest of that money, on signing a Paulinho, on picking up a Diamande. You're basically using that cash for one of the best players in Liverpool's history to rebuild. I think that's going to be a really key part under Arne Slot. Gokres as well is very intelligent in terms of off-the-ball pressing, can squeeze the play at certain moments and very, very quick. But this shape and setup would allow Liverpool to truly hit their potential under the Dutchman in charge. So just to summarise, of course, defending in that narrow 4-2-3-1, forcing their opponents outside to press them and squeeze the ball and turn it over high. And then, of course, the attacking shape, wide wingers, number 10 moving to one inside channel, one of the midfielders playing as an 8, moving to a kind of box-to-box role, a defensive midfielder in there, both of the fullbacks operating slightly narrow to players kind of left and right halves and get on the ball, but also to rotate with the winger ahead and the central midfielder inside. This is how Arne Slot should set up Liverpool next season. So to conclude, Arne Slot needs to get a few things right when he becomes Liverpool head coach. He needs to implement his style of play that saw such success at Feyenoord. He needs to sell Mohamed Salah, buy a new number 9, sign Trent Alexander-Arnold on a new contract, and get his style of football across. Feyenoord have won 62 points from losing position since the Dutchman took charge. Jürgen Klopp has an identical record in that time frame at Liverpool, also winning 62 points, the best record of any team in Europe's top 7 leagues. Both managers don't let their team fall apart. They throw strikers on and they allow their players to play with freedom in the final third. But I do think it's going to be a real tough test. Anyone following Jürgen Klopp is going to be, struggling for a bit. Jürgen Klopp has been one of the best managers in Premier League history. This is a big, big chair to take it, but Arne Slot could be the right man for it. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments below. Would you sell Mohamed Salah? Would you sign Victor Gokres? And would you play Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back? I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel?